I'm John Bolenbaugh. I'm a whistleblower for the largest oil spill in United States history. And I saw such devastation in my community. I went from an oil worker to an environmental investigative reporter. And no matter what happens to me, I've had so many death threats, I don't even know why I'm still alive. But I am not quitting until you kill me, because it's that important. This is way bigger than me. This is a movement that is going to change history, and it's going to save billions of lives.
Hi, I'm Melanie St. James. I'm here listening to many stories today at Standing Rock Nation. First day, and through orientation, through sitting in a talking circle, through meeting people in the kitchen, I have been blown away by the emotion, the courage, the stories, so many. And last night I had the opportunity to see probably the most courageous whistleblower in the United States that's raising awareness about the cost of oil on people, communities, the environment, environmental justice. And it's my pleasure to represent Empowerment Works and the pulse of the movement and introduce John Bolenbaugh. John, I'd like to hear from you what brought you here, what you've been doing that's impacting the cause at Standing Rock right now, and why is this different?
There's nothing like this ever. I've been praying for something like Standing Rock for years, and had a vision when I saw the cover-up in my hometown. We had a 1 million gallon spill into our river, killed 40 miles of fish. And I just thought it was an oil spill, and that's what it does. It kills thousands of animals. But then they were on the news saying that these animals didn't die and the fish weren't that bad. And the lies were eating at me, and I couldn't sleep at night. And then I started seeing them cover up oil. They were putting dirt over it and rocks over it, and sickened me. And I wasn't going to allow this to happen in my hometown. And so I told on them, and they fired me the next day. So I don't like to be called a liar, and as a result, it cost them about $600 million in re-cleanup. It's been devastating to my family. My daughter was born with a deformity. My kidneys messed up. My uncle died. My dog died. My cat's almost dead right now. It's got a tumor in its face. My stepdad had cancer cut out of his face. You know, when my uncle died, it was traumatic for me. You know, I'm trying to get justice for my family. But it's not just my family. We're talking about hundreds of families, and we don't even know how bad it is, because we have 7 kids with leukemia in our local school system in one small town, Marshall, Michigan, and we don't know how bad it is. I mean, those are just the ones I know about. And it could be 20 kids, you know, 10 years from now. So I'm trying to do something about this. I'm trying to travel around the country and document oil spills and sick residents. And been doing this 6 years. I've gathered over about 3,500 gigabytes of footage. And this is my life. This is my mission. This is what God wants me to do. And I heard about Standing Rock because people started calling me saying, John, they need you. You have to expose what happened with you to them. You got to give them this information so they know what they're fighting for. We all know we don't want the pipeline to go through. We all know we want clean water, but to see why, to see the tumors and the sick residents, it just validates why you're here. And so, you know, I got here, I stayed for 4 days, I went back home, And I told the wife I got to go back. And so this is my second time back from Michigan in the last 6 weeks. Me and my wife got married, and 2 days later we're here spending our honeymoon. And it's life-changing, and it's helped my family. You know, I've almost lost my wife a few times because this is all I do. I fight oil companies. I'm pretty good at fighting oil companies and exposing them and costing them, we believe, over $1 billion so far. And so my wife told me, she said, honey, I'm going back with the kids. This is too important. You need to stay at Standing Rock. And that was a blessing in my life, because to get validation from her that she now sees why we're fighting, what we're fighting for, it really helps my family. I haven't ever accepted donations in 6 years. I've ripped up checks. I had a $10,000 check once I ripped up. I've had HBO at my house offering me money, and I turned it down. If I would have kept my mouth shut and not reported the cover-up for 2 years, I would have actually got 10% of the re-cleanup, which is about $60 million that would have been in my pocket. But then I would have had hundreds of kids that would have got cancer that shouldn't have, because of the oil that I had got re-cleaned up afterwards. And people say, how can you prove it, John? Well, they signed off on the areas, EPA 3 signatures by supervisors, then you have 3 signatures by the oil company, Enbridge, and then you have DEQ. So 7 signatures on every area said that it was 100% clean. They landscaped it, restored it, planted grass, and you don't dig that back up unless it's contaminated. And so, you know, that's my validation. They redug up the whole river and redredged everything. I don't know what I'm doing day to day. I just follow what I think God wants me to do, and I spent about 14 grand just in the last 6 weeks just buying blankets. You know, I have 10 sleeping bags in my vehicle I just bought that I'm giving out. Heaters, just whatever I can to help Standing Rock. But most importantly, I'm showing my video every night, and it's packed. You know, I've showed over 1,000 people. My video, it holds about 100 people in the dome that we have here. And I'm going to stay as long as it's full. I'm going to stay here, and as long as it takes to expose what these people are fighting for, to let them know, you know, when you're on the front line and they're throwing these percussion grenades at you, and they're shooting you with rubber bullets, and they're squirting water at you in 20-degree weather and macing you for no reason. When they're doing all this unlawfully, just to protect oil companies that the Army Corps of Engineers has already told them to stop. They're not supposed to drill, but they're still doing it, but they just pay fines. Our police department should turn their heads, and they should start arresting the DAPL workers because they're violating the law. But instead they want to injure 170 people the other night for no reason, that are on the opposite side of barbed wire, that are no threat to anybody. These are nonviolent people with no weapons, and I am pissed off. I'm a Navy veteran, Bronze Star, and you don't do this to the people in my country. I fought for my country, you know, and just because I'm not getting a paycheck doesn't mean I don't fight for my country now. You know, I'm protecting the people in my country, and now I have a 1 and a 2-year-old. My little girls are the best thing that ever happened to me, but if they can't go swimming someday, or if they always have to drink bottled water, that's not going to happen in the world I live in, because I'm going to do something about it.
And can you share a little bit more? So this is a very unique case in Standing Rock, and unprecedented that all of these tribes have gathered here in solidarity. But how big is this issue of the risk? How many oil spills are reported? About
30% of the oil spills are actually reported, because most of them are just said that they're maintenance. They actually profit when there's oil spills. They want oil spills. If they shut a pipeline down to fix it, let's say Michigan, for 5 years they knew there was a crack in it. If they shut it down to fix it, then they lose $8 million a day. So what they do is they just squeeze out that revenue for the next 5 years until it does spill, and then that insurance company hires them to clean up their own mess. The insurance company pays for lost revenue. They pay to fix the pipe. The oil company owns the cleanup materials, they own the cleanup companies, and they actually will buy the land in the local areas at real cheap because no one wants to live there anymore. And then they actually will sell it for more than what it's worth. But during that time they're cleaning up a spill or building a pipeline or whatever they're doing, they actually put their workers in those homes, and now the workers pay rent instead of the hotels being paid for by the oil company. So now there's another course of revenue. Plus they raise the gas prices. So they profit 3 or 4 times more by having an oil spill than what they do if they fix a pipe. So, and this is what really pisses me off. This is for foreign oil. 95% of all pipelines that are being built right now are for foreign. We export more oil every single year than we actually use in the United States. We don't need these new pipelines. And I'm a union worker, but we don't need those type of jobs. And the other thing is, the workers would have so much work. We'd actually have to hire more workers if we just fix the pipes that are already cracked and 60-year-old pipes. That's what makes me mad. We're helping foreign countries pretty much devastate our environment. The XL pipeline, there is no logical reason to go under the largest aquifer in the United States. They already have an easement. I worked on the Keystone one myself. But by going under that aquifer, now they can suck water out of that because they own the easement. And fresh water is very vital for many countries, for the United States. And the other thing is, what if we go to war someday and they actually blow up that pipeline, and then they blow up the one going through the Great Lakes? And I talked about this on C-SPAN 5 years ago. It's a national security threat because they could blow up 5 pipelines and the United States is crippled because we really wouldn't have any fresh water. It would be all contaminated in one day.
So how at risk is the watershed here from this pipeline that's being proposed?
The pipelines, no matter how great they are or how brand new they are, they always leak. There is no pipeline that does not leak. 5 gallons here, 10 gallons here, 20 gallons here. This lake gets 100 gallons a day. They all leak. They use cheap steel. Most of it comes from China. And then it's sent to Canada. They put a coating on it. And then what they do is they put a stamp that says Canadian. So it looks like it's a Canadian pipe, but it's actually foreign China pipe, and it's bad steel. I've had Enbridge workers, supervisors saying, yeah, we can't weld it properly. It's just bad steel. But it's cheap steel. And so when they do that, there's little pinholes in it. And it might only be the size of the head of a pin, but it could be 5 gallons a day that leaks out. And no one will ever know, because if you don't have at least 1.5% loss in pressure in most of these pipelines, you'll never have any alarms go off. So hypothetically, you have a 500,000 gallon a day pipeline. You can, without anybody knowing about it, and I say legally because no one will ever know, you can have thousands of gallons every single day leak out. It depends on the pump station, but if it's less than 1.5%, no one's going to know. It could pollute your watershed, Missouri River, your wells, the streams, the creeks. The animals are going to be eating that. And that's why I reported the cover-up when I did, because I knew those deers were going to be drinking that water. I knew that they were going to be laying in the grass and eating the grass. And I knew they were going to be in Michigan. We are big deer hunters, and they were going to be eating that deer. And the kids were going to get cancer from it. I knew this. I knew it immediately. And the movie Aaron Brockovich really helped me guide myself through this, because, I mean, I went to 1,400 homes and just not even knowing about the sick people, and 200 sick people showed up. And I had no idea. I had a 1-hour battery. I had a little crappy camera, and I never knew that this would be a part of history, that people were going to die. I would interview people, and two months later they'd be dead. And you know, my uncle had me videotape his last will and testament. And you know, he got a blood disorder after the spill. 16 people in his trailer park passed away. And it's these oil companies, they evacuated them 10 days after the spill. For 10 days they didn't evacuate these people. And it's not really the oil that poisons you, it's the thinners that thin out this oil. It's benzene and hydrogen sulfide and dectane and methane and benzene, and it causes havoc on your body, causes liver damage and kidney damage and cancer and leukemia and eyesight and hearing loss, on and on. It's havoc for your body. And I hope I'm making a difference in this world, and I hope my videos are seen by every single person on this planet, because just maybe it might change the course of history.
Speaking of the change in history, what's at stake with this fight right now? How important is this? How many people have been affected by the oil spills that you're aware of? Can you give a number on that?
Oh, I've been to 4 oil spills and documented it, and we're talking about thousands of people. We had 30,000 people that breathed in the chemicals that we believe went that distance and poisoned them. But you don't know for 10, 15, 20 years, because it sits in your body and it poisons you. I get headaches and migraines. Police officers I've interviewed that's in my videos, they get headaches and migraines. The chemicals sit in your fat cells and they cause brain tumors. There's a tribe in Canada next to a tar sand refinery, and 10% of the entire tribe has brain tumors. And so, that could be our community. We have tumors in our fish now. They say it's clean. They have signs on the local parks, billboards that say, "Eat safe fish from the Kalamazoo River. Fish are part of a healthy diet." And they have tumors in them, and they're full of oil. And I can prove it, 100% prove it. I have so much documentation. I just got to get this documentary made. And so that's another reason why I'm here at Standing Rock. I'm trying to network. I'm trying to find editors. I'm a nobody. I don't know what I'm doing. I just documented something that was historic, I guess. It just was a daily thing for me. For 6 years I've been doing this. I didn't know we were going to be making documentaries about it. I just thought I was putting it on YouTube and telling the world what's going on. But they're putting pipelines in all over the country. Now I have people from Canada and Alabama and all over the place that contact me saying, "John, your videos can help us in our state." It's not just one state. It's not one pipeline. We're talking about dozens of situations where what I done possibly could help save lives. So I actually bought most of the website domains, which would be like ExxonLies.com, EnbridgeLies.com, BPLies.com. I bought several of these, hundreds of them. And the reason why is if there's an oil spill in the future, all I got to do is take 300 yard signs, send them to the local community. They get them out there quick if I don't have the opportunity to get there to give speeches and stuff. And then they can watch my videos. They'll see, what's going to happen. Evacuate. Don't listen to them. You're breathing in poison. And I feel horrible. I was in Mayflower, Arkansas. I didn't get there for 6 weeks. I didn't have the money to go. And I told the wife, I got to do this. And I waited for my next 2 paychecks, and I went to Arkansas, and it was too late. The kids already had COPD. The kids were already breathing in these chemicals for 6 weeks, and I feel horrible. But I can't, it's my fault. If I could have got there sooner, I could have told them, what to do and how to do it. And so
what about the EPA? What are the other protection agencies that are supposed to be notifying people?
The EPA is a part of this. They travel around with the oil companies. They go to the bars with them. Their food's paid for. Just on our oil spill, their food was catered in. Great food to the EPA. That's against the law. It's not supposed to happen. They would have lunch together. I had lunch with the EPA. You're not allowed to do that. When I worked with them. And it's testified under oath that happened. My brother is an environmental inspector, and he specifically said that he believes that because he saw the cover-up, and he said, I believe the EPA was bought off. And it's because the EPA signed off on the areas. And they're not allowed to talk to me. Have you ever heard of a whistleblower reporting the biggest environmental cover-up in United States history? And the EPA says, sorry, John, we can't talk to you because we have a gag order. And the reason why is because they signed off on all the areas. If they admit that I told the truth and that there was a cover-up, they're cutting their own throat and admitting that they committed felonies. These 3 supervisors for every single site committed felonies. And they don't want to go to prison, so they just say John Bolenbaugh's a liar.
So what can people do now? Everyone watching.
Well, you have to donate to everybody out here. We have to weatherize. These people have to stay warm for the winter. These people are on the front lines. They're freezing. They're cold. We need sleeping bags. We need Mr. Heaters. We need hand warmers. Do not come out here if you have a tent. But we want you out here. You have to come out here, but you need to buy wood. You need to build a shelter. And if you want to stay for the winter, you've got to be prepared. We're going to have 6 foot of snow out here, and I don't want anybody injured or to die or get hypothermia. But we need bodies. We need as many people here as possible. I need help. I need you to donate to Dapple Lies, DAPLLIES.com, and push the donate button. Give me $5. But I just got to get enough money to get a secretary to help me. I need a couple editors. I need funding. You know, it's going to at least be $100,000. I still have 300 sick people I haven't been able to interview yet. I just paid $2,000 to my attorney to get all the information from the people that filed complaints against the oil company. And I'm so busy, I don't have time to go through them yet, but I need to interview these people. And who knows how bad this is. I'm just one man doing this.
So when your documentary gets out and just through all this information, what else can people do at home as far as like changing the law, changing the policies, raising awareness?
Share, 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 share. You got to share. Social media. CNN the other day said that they were not squirting the water protectors. I call them protesters until I learn that they're water protectors, just like me. It's stupid. Why would we call them protesters? And I've did that so many times. They're not protesting. They're just being good citizens to protect our children. And so CNN said that they weren't doing this. And then they said the girl that had her arm blown off by the police department, they said that she actually had a propane bomb. 100% lie. Never happened. Morton County Sheriff and the police officers injured 170 people that did not have weapons. They should all be in prison. And if you don't put them in prison, I'm going to do everything I can to do it.
So I'm from Rosebud, Sioux tribe. I'm Sioux Chungu. I came here, I just felt a really strong calling here. Like, Tukashla sent me here. And ever since I've been here, it's been like deja vu, you know? Like they say when you experience deja vu, like your spirit comes here and then it goes back. So it was like meant to happen. And so I came here to protect my brothers because I was really scared about everything that was going on. You know, they were shooting rubber bullets, sound cannons, they started a fire, everything. And so that's why I came here, to protect my brothers, Derek and Marcello. And then I gained some other brothers while I was here. And I just like experienced like the mercilessness of the Morton County Police Department. And I mean, I've also experienced a lot of the compassion too. Like, you know, when some of the officers have walked away from the front lines. And
can you tell us about that? What you saw?
Well, I didn't experience it directly, but my friend Jackson, he was on the front lines and he got shot up like multiple times, and he was like, "I love you," and you know, like, we're here protecting your children too. And he got shot up and he stayed there and he continued to say like, "I love you," and like 2 officers walked away. I talked to a doctor from the medic tent, and one of the guys who got shot with a rubber bullet, his arm got broke and his bone was like sticking out. And in Bismarck, they didn't do anything, you know. My friend Parker got sent to Bismarck, and they said, "We don't support your cause, but we'll treat you anyway." Well, actually, they didn't treat a lot of people. they sent a lot of people out with hypothermia, and Parker, he had hypothermia, and he was also maced with 2 cans of bear mace. And anyway, so this guy they sent out, his bone was broke. They didn't do anything. They sent him out like that. They didn't even set it. And they gave him was Tylenol with codeine. And the doctor I spoke to, she said she would have at least give him narcotics, you know. Like, she had gotten into a similar injury when she got into a car accident, and they gave her like narcotics, and she was still in a lot of pain. So this guy, he got his arm broke and his bone is sticking out, but he went back to the front lines, and he said, "Look at what happened. Look at what your rubber bullets did." And they said, and I mean, he showed them, and like he said, already, like three officers walked away when they saw that. So
they gave their guns back.
They set their guns down. They walked away.
So how do you feel about that?
I feel like, you know, everyone isn't like inherently evil, but also they don't know what they're doing, and you know, the front lines are just really high spiritual place. You know, like we went to ceremony and they said the spirits were there. There was rattling eagle, rattling something, gray eagle, and another spirit, and like they were causing all of this to a lot of us got, you know, a lot of people, not me. I mean, I just got tear gas. I left after that because it was just too much for me. But my brothers, they got shot. My brother Raven got shot in the back. They got maced. They got shot with a rubber bullet. They got sprayed with water in like freezing temperatures, you know. A lot of people got hypothermia. And so when we went to ceremony, it said like all the spirits were there, you know. Like they were causing all of this to happen, and yeah, a lot of people got injured, but it also showed what they're doing, you know, what the police department are doing, like how they're approaching our peaceful protests. I mean, we have never been armed. We've never had weapons. I even said we have no weapons. I was on the front lines, and they said move back, and when we didn't, they threw the concussion grenades and the tear gas and everything. And so anyway, it showed the nation what they were doing. Like what we're doing, they have nothing against us. We've never used weapons. We've never, yeah. I mean, it's pretty, I don't see how it could be not one-sided.
And what is that side? Why are your brothers fighting? Why are your communities protesting or defending?
For the water, you know? I mean, like John said, you know, this is going to go through the Missouri River. That's going to affect like the whole middle of the United States. I mean, if this goes through, we're all going to die of cancer. I mean, he's shown footage, I mean, on his visualized Apple eyes. I don't see how no one, I mean, if you're really for, you know, Morton County and the oil companies and everything, and I mean, that's where your heart really is, I don't see how you couldn't look into our side, you know, how you couldn't see from our perspective, from our point of view. I mean, that's what I encourage a lot of people that I see on different threads on Facebook and everything. Go to dappleize.com, you know, it's right there. I'll be happy to hear any of your rebuttals, you know. I'll be happy to talk to you. I mean, it's a human being thing. It's not just like a liberal thing or a native thing or whatever. Like, it's everyone. A lot of the people there are not native, but they're fighting for their children, and I mean, just as well as ours. They're not just fighting for us, they're fighting for all of us. I mean, it's our whole human race.
There is. There actually is a major study that's being done right now of all of the related issues that ripple out from this particular event. Obviously, there's the issue of Native American sovereignty. There's the issue of the respect for Indigenous rights with regard to the United Nations. In fact, MSNBC, The Last Word with Lawrence, whatever his name is, just had a big editorial today on the news about the world is watching the signing of the rights of Indigenous people to the United Nations, which the United States under the W. Bush administration refused to sign, and the fact that the Obama administration reversed that, and so now, therefore, what are the implications of what they need to do? There's all of the issues of the fact that the oil is still being developed up there when they know that it's generating global climate change. There's the entire issue of the United States under the Trump administration potentially withdrawing from the accord that was agreed to in Paris in December of 2015. There's the issue of straight up environmental contamination with the oil. There's the issue of the fact that the oil is in fact not going to be used even to help provide extra energy to our country at all. It's going to be sold for pure private profit of these people. It's related to the tar sands pipeline, which Trump has declared he's going to now reverse Obama's position and allow them to build the big pipeline all the way through the entire United States over Native American land in a number of places, but also right straight through the Standing Rock Reservation to pump the tar sands all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico to ship it out for energy for other countries. You know, this is...
So it's not even about our sovereignty.
No, it's not about our sovereignty or protecting our domestic sources of energy or anything. So this is... And so there are dozens and dozens of ripples out from the event that's going on right there. The militarization of the police.
Treating protesters like they're terrorists.
And treating them under terrorism regulations and statutes. And so there's a project underway right now to identify all of these issues and to identify the 501c3 public interest organizations that have identified each of those issues as their principal issue, to identify who the allies are of the people that are on site, and to try to mobilize them to send people to participate in this. Because the bottom line is that the way that we have overwhelmed these type of projects before, after you've exhausted all of your administrative remedies trying to show that they're violating environmental policy rules, they're violating regular general environmental standards, they're violating the rights of tribes, all the things that you can show, that what you have to do finally is mobilize all the people and put them on the site. Because then it's going to fill up all their jails. They're going to have to house the people. They're going to have to process them for the courts. You need to provide lawyers for them to say, look, we're not going to be part of any mass trial. You have each individual has a right to have the evidence against themselves. You have to prove it, to put them to their test. If they want to try to outpower the people have to mobilize people power against them, so that more and more people need to come into the site, put themselves and their bodies on the line, and defy them. And so what we're pointing out is that this can be done on federal land. The Obama administration's U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the Environmental Protection Agency, the United States Justice Department have all told the Energy Transfer Partners and their Dakota Access LLC, they've been told that they do not have the easement yet, and they can't come on and drill on the federal land. They're apparently in defiance of that. They're taking the position that, two people inside the administration of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers sent emails to them telling them they could do it, and that serves as an easement. They obviously aren't convinced that's true, because they filed a motion with the federal district court in Washington last Thursday on I think the 14th of November, asking the federal court to enter a declaratory judgment that they in effect had the easement. So this raises a whole other group of people who are lawyers who have to become interested in what's going on here. And the lawyers need to put their body on the line in the courtrooms to protect these people. Okay, so that this whole project is going on right now, and the people who are heading up the project are leaving this afternoon from Washington D.C. and they're on their way to the site now. So the answer to that is yes. There's a lot of other issues that are involved and a lot of other organizations, and part of our job is to identify who they are, reach out to them, and remind them of the direct relationship between their issue and the issues that are going on there.
So you've mentioned coming out, standing physically, and filling up. That's the first step? Would you say that's like and then for people back home, what do you think, is there one call to action legally? What people have to do is there's all kinds of other needs to provide financing. We need to make sure there's secure financing so that it's very safe. The contributions that are given are for heating oil, for tents, for warm blankets, for medical assistance, when they're shooting rubber bullets at people and stuff like that. There's a whole lot of things that contributions can be used for, but we don't want people to think in terms of, I'll give some money to this and that's it. That's necessary. The fact is, people need to change their lives, just like they need to now in response to the Trump administration and the appointment of Bannon and these, Jeff Sessions to be the head of the Justice Department. This is another rogues gallery. This is very similar to what we confronted back under the Nixon administration with John Mitchell as the Attorney General and Rehnquist as the Special Assistant Attorney General. They bring in all of these kind of troglodytes and they bring them all into one administration. And the fact of the matter is, we have to recognize that when they undertake unconstitutional and unlawful action, then we have to move to make sure that the laws are enforced. So it's that type of thing. People have to figure out what their line of expertise is, and there are lawyers and there are other people that are doctors and nurses, and there are a whole range of professions that need to see for people to put up housing, temporary housing. People can bring solar generators that they may build. They have a company that builds them. There's all kinds of things that are needed here. This is taking a stand against the potential unlawfulness of the corporations, hand in glove with the Trump administration. That wedding of the interest, and you can see it now transparently, with a raw service on the part of the federal government of the interests of a private corporation to take resources from the Baca in North Dakota and extract them at everybody else's expense. And the threats to the entire drinking water system that's serviced by the Missouri River, and just to increase the profits of one corporation for selling the oil to foreign countries. So this is not just a safe digging thing.
No.
This drilling, what kind of threat does that have to the watershed?
What it is it's they were talking about putting it up over the river, but the problem is that then if it breaks and leaks into the river, it contaminates the whole river. So they said, okay, what we'll do is we'll drill under it. But the problem is they drill under it, and if it breaks, it contaminates the entire soil, and it seeps up, osmosis. It seeps up into the water table, and you got the entire Oglala aquifer that gets contaminated, and you got, then it'll eventually pump into the river. So this is a reckless disregard for the public safety. In the service of private profits on the part of corporations that fund the political campaigns of the guys like Trump, and his coterie, and they need to be confronted. That the people are just not going to stand for this. They're just not going to stand for it. And part of our job at the Dakota People's Law Office, that's been there in the Dakotas for 15 years. That our job is to try to make sure that what we are doing is as much as we possibly can within the law, so that our people are on federal property. They're not trespassing on property that is purportedly owned by the oil company. It's federal land. The Justice Department supports the opposition to the drilling. The Federal Environmental Protection Agency opposes the drilling. The U.S. Corps of Army Engineers opposes the drilling. And if they're not going to put federal troops there to protect the land, you have the irony of the Lakota people protecting the federal land that was taken away from them by the federal government completely illegally, which raises that question again. Because this is land that was taken away in violation of both the 1851 Treaty of Fort Laramie and the 1868 Treaty of Fort Laramie. Just as it was illegal taking away the Black Hills. It was granted. It was explicitly acknowledged to belong to the Lakota people, and then the U.S. government turned right around and took it back unilaterally, completely unlawfully. Okay, and so but the Lakota people are saying, look, if the federal government is going to try to assert its claim to the land over the Lakota people, at least the federal government ought to protect it so that it isn't being misused to further damage the Lakota people by contaminating their entire water supply. And if the federal government isn't going to do it, then the Lakota people will do it. And if the Lakota people will do it, the people of the United States will do it. And that we will back them. And so that's what's happening there.
Perfect.
I mean, we have a precedent. We have the 1980 case of the Great Sioux Nation versus the United States, in which the United States Supreme Court ruled that it was clear that the taking of the land that took place in 1897,
Right.
In fact, was completely illegal.
Right.
The problem
that's already
was,
gone to the Supreme
the
Court.
problem was that was undertaken by the Oceti-Sakowaniwati, and they had the burden of proof. They met the burden of proof. The problem is that the government then said, okay, then we'll consider our having taken it by eminent domain, and we just need to pay you for it. How much do you want? And the people said, we don't want anything. We want the land. It was illegally taken. And they said, no, that's not how this goes. We just pay you money. We print the money up and give it to you.
And then you go away, right?
They said, no. And that's the way it stands since 1980. But in this particular context, if the bad guys are making the move and saying you're on property you're not allowed to be on, then we say, well, that's a question of law. This is our land. The fact that you illegally took it doesn't give you the right to make a decision. You give someone the permission to come and drill a hole in it, and so that therefore you're charging us with the criminal offenses of trespassing. So we're saying we're not guilty of that because this is our land.
Right.
And then you put that fact question to the jury.
I get it.
And so the jury can then find that there was reasonable grounds to believe that you believed this was your land and you had a right to be on it.
And what about, again, I'm a layman, but what about an injunction given that they're proceeding without permits?
Well, that's the problem again. No, thank you. But the problem is that then if you go forward, you have the burden of proof.
I see.
And so what you need to do is get yourself in a position where they have the burden of proof.
Right.
Okay. And so that's usually when they try to charge you with trespassing or doing something like that.
Right.
Now they have brought an action that they've been goaded into taking action where they filed on Thursday the 14th, the pipeline access people, they filed a thing asking for a federal court to issue a declaratory judgment that they had an easement. Not because the certificate of easement had been given to them, which is an easy question fact that hasn't been established.
Right.
But they're arguing it was implied by all the previous agreements that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers made, saying yes, you can do it. We're going to make sure you get everything that you need to do it. Blah blah blah. They haven't given them the easement yet, but they're arguing that they've in effect agreed to do it. It's an implied easement.
That's a very interesting. So an implied easement is if you drove across someone's property for 7 years. That kind of implied easement, or
no? A little bit different because the problem is they've got two of the major U.S. Army Corps of Engineers officials have sent them emails saying, oh yes, you have the easement, but it's just a matter of getting the formal certificate to you.
See.
But they haven't done that yet.
I see.
And so the Justice Department, because of all the political pressure,
Yeah.
is saying, oh yeah, no, we haven't given you the certificate yet, so you don't have the right to come on here yet. And so that the advantage is that they attacked on Sunday night and started pouring water on everybody and all that kind of stuff without having the color of law on their side.
right?
So our people had the color of law on our side.
Right.
And so we're trying to maintain that. But this judge, Bailesberg, his name is Baouberg, Bailesberg is getting probably ready to rule that they have effectively an easement. And then it's in the fan right then. Then it's going to start because they're going to start trying to drill. and people have to just sort of confront them. That's why it's good to have so many people here, because the key is just to keep filling up their jails, fill up the jails, fill up their time, fill up their administrative time and energy. You know, they have to process all those people. They have to follow the due process of law, and so that we just have to overwhelm them with numbers right now. I mean, that's what we did in the Vietnam War. They just couldn't arrest everybody for refusing to come and serve, and so they didn't know what to do. You know, in the same way we did it at Seabrook, we did it at the Black Fox in Oklahoma. We put so many people on the site that they couldn't process them all.
Right.
And then they just said, this isn't worth it. You know, it's just too big an administrative hassle. And that's what this has to be.
Right.
Now, Trump, we don't know. He's a little fanatical, and he views.
But
this
there's a long time between now and January 20th.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's right. So we just have to see what's going to happen here.
Cool.
You know, but in the meantime, we have to get back to the site gang, because we got to meet with Artie, and we got to get we have to get everybody notified to be up and at 'em here at the site by 8 o'clock.
Okay.
To position the buses.
Okay.
We got a site up by the legal office up there that we got to get into.
Matakiape. My name's Kevin Meager, and I'm here at the Ochechi-Shikoin camp near Standing Rock, and we're here to stop the DAPO pipeline from being drilled under the Missouri River north of the Standing Rock Reservation and Cheyenne River Sioux Reservation. I'm Iheska Lakota, unenrolled. My grandfather was from Cherry Creek, South Dakota, and also Milesville, South Dakota. My Hunka father was a well-known medicine man from Cheyenne River. Hunka is one of our 5 ceremonies. It's an adoption ceremony, and I was adopted by him. I was his ceremonial helper for 7 years, and then on my mother's side, I'm descended from the Montana Métis people. What I want to share with you today is what's going on here, and explain to you in a larger context, more clear way of what's happening. So 15 years ago, my Hunka father, who's Lakota, told me this. It was we were about to enter the war in Afghanistan. And I asked him, I said, why is America going over there? And he said to me, they're going over there to kill the little devils first, and then they're coming after the big devils. It's interesting. But first, let me explain what a Wachashawakan is, a holy man among the Lakota. A Wachashawakan is a person who has gone on top of a hill to seek a vision. It's called Humblecha, crying for a vision. They could train their entire life to become a medicine person, but only the Creator and the Tukashlale, the angelic beings that have been placed over our tribe, the Lakota people, are able to authorize someone as a holy man. They select those individuals as a servant to them. In the process, if they are selected, they open their eyes and their ears. That is, they're able to see the Tunkashlale, the angelic beings that are messengers for the Creator to our people, and they can also hear them. So understanding that, taking that in hand, I'll go back to what I'm saying about the little devils. So he said first they're going to go after the little devils, then they're going to come after the Lakota. I didn't understand what he meant. So I said, what do you mean? And he said the big devils are these evil white families that control Europe and America. And the little devils are these dictators who are their servants, that they keep on short leashes like dogs. But as dogs do, every now and then they run off and do their own thing, and they can't control them. And the big devils, these white families, have decided to assert their control over the entire planet now. But to do that, they want to get rid of all their competition, which is the little devils, the ones they may not be able to control. And then after they're done with them, they're going to come after the Lakota. Well, why the Lakota? A tribe in the middle of nowhere, North Dakota and South Dakota. My dad told me the only thing that terrifies these families is the calf pipe, the chanupa, that was given to the Lakota people many thousands of years ago. It's the only thing they cannot control. What the Chanupa is, it's an object that was made by the Creator himself with his own hands in the spirit world. And he sent it over to the people via a messenger called White Buffalo Calf Woman. It's a device in which people can communicate to the Creator with their own Chanupas that are connected to the main calf pipe. In between Unchimaka, that is Mother Earth, and the Creator, there are many planes of existence. So when a Christian, a Zoroastrian, a Jew, a Muslim prays, their prayers must work their way up through those planes of existence to get to the Creator. But the Chanupa cuts through all of that. As soon as you fill that pipe and pray, and the smoke comes out, the Tukashlale, the angelic beings, take your message directly to the Creator through all those planes. It is the only sacred object on earth. And the reason these evil white families want to control the Lakota and make us submit is because it's the only device on earth that can stop them from asserting their authority over the entire planet. So how do you assert authority over someone? You take away their most basic need to survive. In the 1800s, the white man came here, the American leaders, and they killed off all the buffalo, forced us into starvation, and forced us to submit. Now they're coming to pollute our water, so they'll finally have to submit to their will and authority. Going back to the little devils, it's just as my dad said. Since 2001, they have taken out the Taliban, Saddam Hussein, Hosni Mubarak, the Muslim Brotherhood, the dictator of Tunisia, Muammar Gaddafi, Assad. They're trying, and now they're trying to take out the Iranian clerical leadership. Now that they're almost done, they're turning to the Lakota. Okay, so going back to asserting authority. They have a secondary benefit here with the pipeline. They're going to make a lot of money off it. But they had a secondary benefit taking out Saddam Hussein too. But their stated intent was to kill him or remove him from power. They said it. But they also robbed the treasury. They stole antiquities. They tried new warfare methods. They tried new warfare products. They studied the genetic damage on children from depleted uranium. That was all secondary benefits, but their main intent was to kill Saddam Hussein. The same is true here. They're going to make a lot of money off the pipeline. And eventually, towards the end, when all that oil is almost taken out, they're going to bust that pipeline. Beginning here at Standing Rock, for 200 miles down, is the Standing Rock Reservation and the Cheyenne River Reservation. They're basically one giant reservation that's contiguous that the white man drew a line through for administrative purposes. And on the west side of the Missouri, for over those 200 miles, it's only reservation land. On the east side is sparsely populated white settlements. And the only town of any size beyond that is the town of Pierre, which is maybe 70, 80 miles south of Cheyenne River. Has 20,000 people. And even that can be sacrificed. So when they do bust the pipeline, it's going to destroy all of our drinking water, all of the water we use to irrigate our crops, and the water we use to take care of our cattle and feed them. We're finally going to have to submit to their authority. And then they might make a move on the Chanupa. Let me say this about the pipe real quick. I ask you to not bother the family that is the keeper of this device, this artifact, the calf pipe. Please leave them alone. I know many of you are interested in our ways, but leave these human beings alone so that they can take care of this object and live in peace and quiet. Also, don't go buy a Chanupa. Don't seek to purchase one. When someone receives a Chanupa, they have to go through a process of being assessed by their elders and a medicine person. Sometimes the Tukashlale themselves can authorize the person through dreams or vision, but still a medicine person verifies it. And then you go into a ceremony and the Creator activates it. So if you're someone that's not mentally or emotionally balanced, that have anger issues, you can hurt yourself with this device. It's that powerful because it's only used for peace. You've probably seen pictures of old Plains Indians holding them. Well, the reason the white man called it the peace pipe is because after every treaty, the Indians would fill it and then they would smoke it and they would say to the Creator, I promise never to break this treaty as long as the white man doesn't. It was a ceremony sealing the treaty, the most powerful signing that you can do. But the white man never understood that. Okay. So coming back to what's going on here on the reservation and the threat that's posed to the people on Standing Rock and Cheyenne River. We have a lot of people that have come here. A lot of them have very good intentions. But some of them are here for other reasons than stopping the pipeline. What they don't understand, and yes, it is a global issue, but at the base of it, it's about the survival of the Lakota people on Standing Rock and Cheyenne River. When I was little, my parents lived in another state, and I heard many of these old Indian stories. Things were taught to me. When I moved back to the reservation, I had a lot of love and kindness shown to me. A lot of good stories. A lot of culture. And I look at the little ones, and I don't want them to not have that. I want them to be able to enjoy all those things that I got to enjoy too. All those good things. I don't want them to get leukemia and cancer and have seizures. And this is what happens when waterways get destroyed by this highly toxic crude. Also, my understanding is that no matter what, it's going to leak oil. My understanding is that the steel in these pipelines are so subpar that it leaks all the time before the bells go off when there is a spill. So all the time it's going to be leaking thousands of gallons and polluting our water anyway. It's guaranteed. I ask you, would you want that run through your backyard? Would you want that run through your waterways? So I ask you to focus on what's going on here. Not make it any other issue than stopping the Dakota Access Pipeline from being built on the Missouri River and polluting the water of the Lakota people. Our backs are against the wall. We got nowhere else to go. If this happens, our children are going to get sick and die. This is the final assault they're trying to make on us. And if they succeed here, they're going to assert their authority over the entire planet after this. When I was 7 years old, my blood father told me a prophecy. I can't tell you the first part of it, but the second part is this. It's the unification of the Red Nations. The Lakota have been chosen to do this. My dad said, from all evil comes good, and from all good comes evil. This pipeline is evil, but the Creator is using it to bring about much good. The Chanupa was given to the Lakota, and it was never intended to stop the white man from coming. It was intended to preserve us. My dad told me that the Lakota were told long before the white man came of their coming, but the Creator sent the Tukashlele to them, the angelic beings, to ask us not to fill the Chanupa to stop it, because it was part of His greater plan. That we must accept it and go through it. So then I asked my dad, well, why did this happen then? Why did the white man come and do all these horrible things? And he said, to whom something great is given, something great is required. We were the only people ever given the Chanupa. Would we turn from the Chanupa under the pressure of genocide, murder, violence, systematic oppression, poverty, child molestation in boarding school for generations? Or will we stay true to it? Will we walk with the Creator? Will we not abandon the pipe and not choose the ways of the invader? What's happening here is the fulfillment of that prophecy I was told when I was 7. And the Lakota have proven themselves. We never strayed from the Chanupa. We never strayed from God. And this is the beginning of our great reward. We've been chosen as the place of healing for the Red Nations. So, however, we're under great threat because of this evil that's been used to bring this great healing about. So what we need from you is prayer. 13 years ago, I was in ceremony with my hunka dad and a woman. And the woman prayed to the Nukashlele this: please change the mind of this leader of the United States, George Bush, so that we don't go to war in Iraq. And the Nukashlele came and spoke to my hunka father and said this: tell this woman her prayer is good, but we can't answer it. There's not enough of you praying. We must pray in a collective mass to shift the balance, and the Creator will hear our prayer and stop this. But we need you to do that. So I thank you for listening to what I've said here. I wish you well, and I want God to bless you. Thank you so much. Kelami Yelo, Atakoyase. Oho.
Hi friends, I'm tuning in on Thanksgiving Day. Thank you so much for watching the last couple of videos of John and Jenny. I'm out here a couple miles away from Standing Rock Camp, and the reason I'm out here and the reason we've taken our other videos in a trailer and here at the casino is that there's very sensitive cultural issues to respect, as well as the fact that there's a lot of concern for people's legal standing and arrests, and the people who are in there and putting up the good fight. But most of all, I wanted to express just what a sacred experience this is here, and it's truly a prayer resistance camp. It's not a bunch of protesters, and it's the most unity I've ever seen amongst any convergence, and the most diverse convergence. The gathering of over 300 tribes in the United States is unprecedented. It's like never before. Even Wounded Knee or other major battles have not brought together this diverse of a community or of Indigenous people in the continental United States and now Alaska. So thank you, and it is going to take all of us right now to turn the tide of what's happening in this country. The Native people here have had so many treaties broken, and most of you know what Thanksgiving really was for them, so it's not really celebrated here. But there is going to be a feast and a gathering, and there's a lot of food and a lot of contributions. So this Thanksgiving, let's turn it around. Let's pull it together and start to make it right. We've got some action links on our event page. Google what can I do to say no DAPL, no DAPL. Plenty of links. Get a hold of policymakers, spread the word, divestment, and we got this. Have a meaningful Thanksgiving.